I want to talk a little bit about what I would call the old world and the new world. Okay, so, sometimes I call it world 1.0 and world 2.0. We are coming out of a world where the way that you succeeded was you went and you got an education, you learned the received knowledge, you tried to learn everything as well as you can without making any mistakes. Then you went and learned a trade or a profession, and then you did that without making any mistakes. And then that's how you created success and security. Now, the world that we just came out of, this old world that we lived in before the digital knowledge economy, this was a world of sameness. It was a world of you learn something, you do it the same way over and over, and you do it for your whole life. I mean, up until our generations right here, jobs, careers, professions, trades, it was expected that you'd have those sometimes for your whole life, right? Most people would do it. In fact, some of them were even multi-generational because that's how the world worked. You didn't have to learn, adapt, and change very much as long as you got kind of the state of the art in your cultural education. And then you went and learned a valuable trade or skill, and then you went and did it and you didn't screw up, you could do great. Okay, you could do great. All this prosperity was coming. It was all over the world for hundreds or in some senses, even thousands of years. But that's the old world. Okay, that's the old world. And in that old world, we created an education system that was very similar to the industrial paradigm, which was about manufacturing. We literally created an education system that manufactured student learners and then manufactured people to do what? To work in factories, right? So we made a manufacturing system to manufacture adults that would then go and work in factories. And it was, again, it was amazing. It got us all here to where we are. So I'm not necessarily talking down to this. I am so grateful for the education that I got from the education system. I am so grateful for it. But there was one little challenge, and that is that the people who were teaching us, the people who were raising us, the people that had built this whole thing, they didn't know that there was a new future that was coming right around the corner, and that we were going to be needing to learn a whole different set of skills for this. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later. But the point is, we are now all entering a new world. We're entering a new digital knowledge economy where it's not time and effort and working with our hands anymore, doing manual labor. It's about knowledge work. Peter Drucker, who coined a lot of these terms and saw a lot of this several decades ago, he saw this. He knew that a lot of this was coming, although he didn't get to see, what's happening right now. But he saw that, it's about not the work you do with your hand, but the work you do with your mind and the work that you do with the relationships that you have. And he said, you can't tell a knowledge worker to show up on Monday morning with a good idea, so it's a whole different paradigm. Well, now as we rapidly accelerate into the digital knowledge economy, and all of us, especially after COVID, all of us now working online, we're working more virtually, we're doing virtual collaboration, we're working with these groups and so forth. We're meeting more and more new people. We have to establish new types of relationships. Our professions are also changing, okay? Who here has looked at the horizon of your career, your profession, your industry, and you look forward 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and you just don't know what's coming, but it looks like it might be the end or the end of some major part of that whole world. Just wiggle your fingers at me, okay? If you've seen this, okay. So this is most of us. That's how fast change is happening. That's the acceleration of change right now, where we're all looking out into the future, and we literally, not only do we not know what we're going to be doing, the work we're going to be doing, we don't even know what's going to happen to the whole industries that we work in right now because they're being transformed so fast. And by the way, that was before generative artificial intelligence showed up. We were feeling that way. Well, now, okay, with this last year, okay, of the tidal wave of this new, it's a kind of technology, but it's like a meta technology. I call it IntelliJ after biology, technology, and it's like a new form. It's a new level of existence. I call it IntelliJ because it's a new form of intelligence. And now that this is here, and we realize that there is a kind of technological, computer, software-based form of emergent intelligence that's faster, smarter, knows more than almost any person, or basically than any person. And it's here right now, and we can tap into it. And it's even been made free by all these companies, which is something that's even more astonishing. We can feel the great acceleration that this is having. And we're just starting to see the first actual cracks in the major changes that are happening. I follow this very closely. A few months ago, I saw an article by a Chinese video game illustrator, okay? Someone that does concept art for Chinese video games. It's the first one that I saw that was saying this. And they said that they had 10 concept artists that were working at this company, and the company let go of all of them. And they just kept one person who was doing prompting, because the one person doing prompting could produce as much as those 10 traditional artists. And now I'm seeing people that I know who are copywriters and people that do research and people that do lots of different things are starting to lose their work. It's instantly going away. Now, I personally believe that, that copywriter, who's upset because it seems like generative AI has kind of taken their work, that they would be much better to go and use the generative AI to help them make better copy because they have a sense of it. One of my good friends who's an artist, I remember talking to him a year ago when this all started happening, and he was really upset and he was very scared and horrified. But this year he dove in and he started using all the new tools, and he's making a new kind of art with it. And so I think we can adapt, I think we can learn, and I think we can kind of go to the next level. But the key piece here is the old world is going away and the new world is coming. And it's very different because it's virtual, it's digital, it moves very fast, and it's got this new like wild card here called generative artificial intelligence. So the state of the future, okay, the future that we are all going into right now, it has a few key foundational kind of cornerstones. The first is accelerating change. We have to get used to accelerating change. It's not just fast change. It's change that's going to keep getting faster and faster, right? Sometimes you see me, kind of hold up my examples here of like the cuneiform language, which is 5,000 years ago written on a clay tablet, and then you fast forward and you've got a telegraph here where you had to tap out each letter. And it was $30 a word to send messages on this, in today's money. And then we got to, this, remember the brick phone here, $10,000, 10 hours to charge the battery and 30 minutes of talk time. 10 or 12 years later, out comes this, the first flip phone. It's a quarter the price. It's about the 10th the size or something like that, twice the talk time. Fast forward another roughly 10 years, the iPhone 1 comes out. It's got 4 gigs of memory. I mean, just like, look at the paradigm shifts over roughly 10 years. This to this, quarter the price, twice the talk time. Yeah. But then, think about the paradigm shift from this one to this. Everybody remember when the flip phone and you'd store a few numbers in it and you go beep, 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 and you had the antenna on it. And then this thing comes out and it's got apps and a camera and the internet, and you got a supercomputer in your pocket, and then boom, right? You got the watch. This watch is more than 10 times as powerful as this phone. And, if you go to the phone that I have now, this phone has 4 gigs of memory. This one has 500, right? It's 100x. This has got a little fuzzy camera on the back, 3 HD cameras. This is accelerating change. AI is accelerating much faster than this. Okay. That's the state of the future. Accelerating change, which requires us to be more creative. And that's a key theme that I want to inspire you with today, right? We're all creative beings. We're all creative somewhere. Okay. We're all creative somewhere, meaning that we can make new things. We can imagine things in our mind. We can experiment. We can collaborate with others, and we can make new, better things. Whether it's new processes, whether it's being more organized, whether it's new technology, or whether it's new art, we can all be creative. So we're moving more towards a creative world where we're learning new things, we're creating new things because of the accelerating change. So we have to learn to adapt. And the old world, which was about just learn what works and keep doing it over and over and don't screw up, right? That world was basically like avoid failing by doing the same thing. Okay? You want to avoid failure by doing what's safe, what's known, what's proven, what's tried and true. Well, now we need to start creating success. It's not just avoid failure. We want to create success, a new level of success. And the way that we do it is we do the new thing. We do the different thing. We sometimes do the unknown thing. But the key, right? The key is we do the unique thing. We do the thing that's uniquely ours to do, because now we're in a world where we can connect to billions of people. We can connect to anyone, any organization. And I believe that each of us has a unique way of creating value that we can hone and develop, and that these tools can help us to do this. All right. So we're going to do less of doing the same, doing the tried and true to avoid failing. And we're going to do more of doing what's different and unique and creative to create success. Now, one challenge that we face here is that we're not wired for this kind of change. Okay, we're not naturally wired for this level of change. So we have to learn it. It's something that we have to kind of acclimate to. We have to adapt to. So you know how, I don't know, have you ever traveled somewhere, you went to a place and it was much colder than where you come from? I remember going to Calgary once, and it was like the winter. I was going to an event up there, and I remember walking outside in the cold, and people had told me it was cold, and I think I had my coat on or something, but I walked outside, and within a couple of seconds, I just said that my whole body is just saying, like, no, don't do this stop this immediately. Like, go right back inside right now. Has anyone ever felt that kind of level of cold? Just kind of sizzle your fingers at me here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Is we're talking about, hold on a second. I'm going to just put you guys over here on the screen. So we're talking about that kind of feeling that we get when there's like rapid change. Has anyone ever, maybe you had a type of cuisine, like you ate a kind of food and maybe it was really spicy. Anyone remember like eating a type of food and it was really spicy, and you think to yourself, oh, how spicy could this be or something? And you eat it and it just, there's a gut level reaction where you're like, uh-oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, then whoever started that way, and then you went on to like spicy food. Just sizzle your fingers at me if you went on to liking spicy food after that, right? I know. Isn't that kind of crazy? Sometimes I actually like the cold. Right? It can feel refreshing. Who can feel refreshed by the cold now? Yeah? Okay. Right. So you know what I'm talking about here. So we can learn, we can acclimate, we can adapt. I went surfing for my first time last year. I've been using the metaphor for a long time. I've been using surfing as a metaphor, but now I actually went and I surfed. And boy, who's surfed? Who's surfed before? Yeah? Okay. So when you stand up on that board and you got the ocean behind you, and you can feel the roar of the ocean and the chaos. It's a really incredible feeling. It's you feel the danger and the whole thing. I think that we have to learn to surf, and we have to learn a new set of skills, really. Okay. So I think the opportunity right now, as far as I can see, it's really at the intersection of coaching with the generative artificial intelligence. Okay, it's really at that intersection right now. Coaching, because it's the grown-up career, it's the grown-up skill and the grown-up profession. It's really the new professional business and leadership skill, right? It's the accelerator of success. And generative AI, because we just made all of the knowledge of humanity from the ages, basically everything that we've learned, instantly available to every person for free. And we have to learn how to interact with it, because the limitation isn't the generative intelligence. The limitation is our ability to understand and communicate and channel and work with it. That is the limitation. So it's a new language, it's a new skill set, and it's something that we all need to learn. And because most people they're not getting this right now, even though it's here and we've heard of it and we've done a little prompting, most people still, I'm serious, probably like 95 to 98% of the people I talk to who have used it, it still hasn't really dawned on them how powerful this is and what a massive thing this is and what a big difference it's going to make. And they haven't like kind of gotten across the like made the leap into, oh, I need to use this every day. I need to practice with this, and I need to integrate it into my thinking and my skill set.